is no death worse than the death on the cross. He started out, of course, being arrested, and he was brutalized, and the police of the Jews, they were rough with him, and they shoved him around, and they threw him onto the cobblestone, so he's got grazes and maybe a black eye at this point, and he's gone through this fake trial where they're just throwing out cash prizes for whoever's got a claim against this guy that'll sound half legit, and not being able to condemn him yet, they send him to another trial. The same thing happens there. He says one thing that is righteous and just, and he gets smacked in the mouth for it. So now he can taste his own blood, and then he goes from there over to Pilate. What happens in Pilate's place? In Pilate's judgment, Pilate simply looks at him and assesses him and discusses with him, and he's confused by this man who says that he has a kingdom that is not of this world, and that he has been handed over by an authority far above Pilate, Herod, or Caesar. And he's confused. Pilate doesn't know what to make of that. You know what he says? He goes, "What is truth?" And he walks back out to the Jews and simply tells them that I find no guilt in this man. I'll let him go for you. In fact, it's Passover. You Jews have a holiday, and every holiday I keep you happy by releasing back to you one of your criminals. Look, here's murderer, a raveler, little Barabbas over here, and here's this Jesus fellow. Why don't you pick one? I'll give him back, and of course it'll be Jesus. And what do they cry out? Give us Barabbas. And Pilate says, well, what do you want done with Jesus? And they say, crucify him. Subject him to the worst imaginable pain, death, and suffering that you have devised. Subject him to that. And Pilate is disgusted. This tells us of something. When a teenage boy is disgusted by something, you know it's gross. When a teenage boy who's going through puberty says to you, that person smells, they're probably dead. When a Roman says, whoa, crucifixion's a bit extreme, you know that it is an extreme, magnificent amount of pain. And so Roman Pilate says, what has he done? He's not deserving of that. That's reserved for the worst political enemies, for the greatest sinners. We don't just do this to small-scale rebels or people who inconvenience your Jewish traditions, but to keep them happy. Pilate takes him out back and subjects him to the dogs. You know, Psalm 22 calls it the bulls and the dogs that surround him and nip at him and bite at him. And this is how it was fulfilled. That Jesus was thrown into a ring of ravenous wolves called Roman soldiers. And they strapped it, they beat him first, and they mocked him, and his eyes would have been blackened and full, his mouth full of blood, his ribs sore, and then he was thrown onto what would have been a kind of a post on the ground, and his hands would have been chained to it so that his back was exposed. And they each took out their cat of nine tails, the Roman whips with the ball bearings and the hooks of bone and the metallic scraps that were tied into the leather, so that as they beat the man, they would bruise the ribs, they would damage internal organs, causing internal bleeding, and of course the hooks of this whip would simply rip off chunks of blood, exposing bone and organs. And when they've got him the back almost entirely brutalized, they turn the man over with his hands above his head and his stomach exposed. And they whip his chest and his ribs and his stomach and his thighs. And here he is, this bloody mess of a human being. Isaiah 52 prophesies this moment by saying, we looked at him and he did not even look human, let alone like a king of glory. He didn't even look human. He looked like he'd been run over by a train. He's this bleeding, dripping, naked man that they then take, shove this fake crown which they've devised out of long thorns. They shove it down onto his skull so that the thorns poke through, and they kneel him, and they put a purple robe over him. One of the centurions offers up his robe because it looks kind of royal. They put it on him. They give him a stick in his hand, and they pretend to worship him. And then because they're real men, they mask him so he can't see them, and they take turns walking up and striking him with a stick and uppercutting him and smacking him in the mouth and saying, come on, prophesy, prophet. Who is it that hit you? And he knew. He knew every one of their names. He knew every one of their sins. He knew every one of their lives, and yet he went through it because he was the God-man subjecting himself to this. This is the death of the God-Man. Look at 1 John chapter 4. This will be the focus of our consideration this morning. 1 John chapter 4, verses 9 and 10. 1 John chapter 4, verses 9 and 10. The Apostle John says this, "In this is the love of God was made manifest among us, that God sent his only Son into the world so that we might live through him. In this is love, not that we have loved God, but that he loved us and sent his Son to be the propitiation for our sins." Amen? This is the love of God.